As you've heard, we've had some great speakers today, people who have incredible brilliance, and it's my honor and privilege to share with you my experience. I also know I need to speak slow because of the interpreters. I guess we're over with that component, but nonetheless, I will speak slow and try and make everybody as comfortable as possible with this. I find myself in the position of oftentimes offering my presentations as the more practical component of LifeWave. And I just want to start out by offering one bit of advice. We heard from Dr. Sheely about the silent night patches and how effective they are and how we all lack sleep. I'd just like to offer, if you're going to use silent night, please don't use a laxative on the same night. All right. So, welcome to the world of anti-stress, anti-aging, and I have had just a wonderful experience with this new Aeon patch. And for months, I've had to keep that name quiet. And David, thank you again for this great product and the creation of it, because all of us here are going to benefit. And it gives me a great pleasure to, once again, talk about it today. Our goal, of course, is to help the body feel better and younger. And we all know now the mechanisms why. So what I want to do is offer a different kind of example about this new product. On this side of our immune system, we now have a very powerful glutathione product. And now, as a wonderful bookend, on the other side of that health is now Aeon. And between those two, we have a preventative product, and now we have a polypeptide that will offer the body's different type of immune boost. So we have a serious ability now to not only prevent, but also when free radicals are created, we now can stop that reaction. And then carnosine supports both of those reactions. So I think when you're talking to people how to place this product, I hope that example helps, that it's a bookends that will support your immune system. So we've been speaking about the effects of stress and how it affects everyone in their lives on this issue. Hans Selye was the first real researcher of stress, and he would take rats and put them in water and measure their hormonal changes. So he was the father, really, of modern-day stress research. And to this day, most of us stand on his shoulders as far as what we understand about stress and how it creates the aging process. So Suzanne mentioned the hormonal and chemical changes, and this is especially important to the baby boom generation, which is now the bulk of society. So when we talk about lowering stress, the people who have a less stressful life have increased energy and vitality. And when we think about the power, the interest that we have in life, and what we really all want, energy controls all of that. So if you have a good amount of energy, you can eat correctly, you have the energy to exercise, you have the energy to enjoy life, you have the energy to meditate, and what we all face is a time issue where how can we get all those things in and still, if you will, accomplish what we need to, our absolute necessities. So with the right amount of energy, you can have a full life. But the physiological functions that improve include this list here: strength and stamina, mental focus, patience. And in this culture, wow, we all need a little of that. Normal digestion, lower blood pressure, and as I mentioned, the hormonal changes. So we've been discussing the autonomic nervous system and how it controls immunity. And the autonomic nervous system is in the thoracic spine, the mid-back region. So if you have an abnormality in that part of the body, it only stands to reason that it's going to create a dysfunction somewhere else. And we've seen a number of real serious pain cases that if the mid-back was painful, it also created other body issues. For instance, a seriously injured man told me that he was always cold. And I met him in Arizona. And it was about a 90-degree day that day. And he had a sweater and a jacket, long pants on, and everybody else was in shorts and T-shirts. So that's the power of the autonomic nervous system in that particular region of the body and how it affects your health. So we've discussed how it controls all the body functions we don't have control over. Eyes dilating, organ function, heart rate, blood pressure. So this is the picture that we all learn in school about the autonomic nervous system, where it's located and what it controls. So we talked about, and David touched on this, the difference between the two systems, a parasympathetic and a sympathetic system. If the body is balanced, there is a reaction that occurs, your eyes dilate, and conversely, your eyes contract when you're in low light. And if those reactions occur as they're designed to, then you have the chance to have a full functioning body. It's when this faults that we end up with disease processes and changes in our health. So when the body is out of balance due to stress, it adapts. And the nervous system regulates immune function and inflammation. And from this source that I cited, experimental evidence shows an important role of the autonomic nervous system underlying the ability of the brain to monitor immune status and control inflammation. So there is substantial evidence that has led science to make these statements and indeed modulate the immune function. So there's this constant balance between the two, immune and nervous system. And this is why it's not surprising to people who are feeling ill that you also feel low. So emotions have a huge component of our health and our nervous system's function. So this interaction is not unidirectional. The immunity affects the nervous system and vice versa. So these are issues that we think in a very mechanical world in the classic medical model, Western-trained doctors. And this emotional component is one of my most impressive, if you will, issues of what affects people's lives. And I constantly see that emotions play a huge role in pain, in immunity, and overall health. And we're starting to put all that together. The people who have meditated for years and the people who have done all those great healthy things for the brain and body, that brain-body connection has always been there. But we know that it was actually the early church who decided to separate those two, and that's when we became just a body and just a brain. So when Michelangelo asked the church to say, I want to draw and sculpt the body, they said, fine, you can have the body, but we're going to keep the brain. And that's where that separation came from historically. The Eon patch rebalances the nervous system, and I found this to be very clear in the infrared studies that I did. There were other physiological responses that were recorded by the study subjects, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, and they included sleep, pain, energy, less muscle soreness, and better mental function. So I'll speak about the study that I conducted last spring. The Eon patch had unique effects and influences than any of the other products that I have had the privilege of testing. So we put out information. We wanted people with inflammatory problems, muscular problems, especially arthritic problems. So we ended up with 23 people with chronic or mild pain and inflammation to the muscles or joints. And we gave them patches for 5 days, and the results were very profound. We had consistent pain and inflammatory reduction with varied responses to other conditions. There were spectacular changes that occurred in a number of people who participated in this trial. The participants with chronic overall body pain did not have the response as participants who previously had tried the LifeWave patches. And to put it a different way, they did not have the same profound pain change as LifeWave provides with overall body pain. So I want to make it really clear, this is a patch that has its own unique place, but as we learned earlier, it's also a beautiful combination to use with LifeWave to pick up pain components that LifeWave alone doesn't. So there's a true use of both products. So here are some of the testimonials from the people that were in the trial that I conducted. There was this guy with a shingles facial pain, and if any of you have ever had this particular issue, it is very painful, and it was very debilitating for this. He was a young guy, a school teacher, and the patch gave him the only relief he had. He was on several medications. I said, hey, I've got this study started. Why don't we try this? And if you can't stand the pain, stay on your pain meds. Well, he stayed on the pain meds, but he realized he wasn't in pain. So he backed off and ultimately got off all of the pain meds and used the patch, and it gave him significant relief. He also had some thigh pain, and that completely disappeared. We weren't expecting that. Another woman, she had a pinched nerve feeling in the glutes, and that was relieved. And she also had shin pain. Again, we were not targeting that, but it got to that as well. So there was a chronically tired patient, Carol here, and I quote, I have tried the energy patches, but this patch gave me more energy than I have had in years. And she said, I think I look younger too. When you feel better, you look younger. It just goes hand in hand. Another patient in the study reported the patches offered her the best sleep she had had in years. I had given her the Silent Night patch before, and it kind of worked. But her circumstance was she is the mother of 2 grade school children, a very conscientious mother, and she had not slept very well in the past several years. This patch is the only thing that allows me to sleep all night. And now we understand the pathway, why that occurred. It got to different energies in the body. And this is my Uncle Roger, my dad's brother. He had a swollen thumb that was injured, and he had tried his wife works for a hospital, so he'd been through the whole medical situation and tried everything they had for him, and it was from a previous fracture. Well, this is the kind of pain when the weather changed, he would feel it. So I put the patch right near the thumb, right below the thumb, the joint, and it took about 3 days. The swelling went completely away, and he could bend that thumb for the first time in several years. He just simply said, amazing. The responses we weren't expecting that we got from this particular product was this detoxification response. And these were people, for instance, in a clinic that I was in Portland at the time. They were worn by some of my staff members there. They were massage therapists. They were healthy individuals. And they had a very strong detoxification response in the form of fatigue. Some of them even reported that they were a little bit nauseous. This occurred for the first couple of days. So this was another indication, and they weren't afraid of that reaction. They actually kind of enjoyed it. But this is a great indication that it creates a different energy and a different pathway of energy to get to the body's function. So there are many of these patch placements that are we're going to put out in the product brochures. These were the majority placements that I used for the study. In your product information that you received today, you see that there is 2 other placements, one in the mid-back between the shoulder blades and one in the low back. There was somebody very close to us in LifeWave who had some pretty stressful nights, not a lot of sleep, and a lot of work. And they were not feeling well. So they used Eon in 2 places, on the chest and in the mid-back. This was a very functional place for a cold or the precursors to a cold or upper respiratory infection. So we found that to be quite effective. If you had low back discomfort and an ache or soreness to the lower abdomen, you just don't feel well, flu-like symptoms, then another approach is to use an Eon patch below the belly button and one in the low back. It will get to both ends of the nervous system that way. So I'm going to walk you through a couple of the placements. This one is one of my favorites because of all the different energies that it gets to. And this is the result of the infrared study when it's placed there. And as you see on the right, it has a profound heat difference compared to the left. The orange and tan colors are hotter than the green. So this was a 43-year-old man who had significant energy change and pain to his low back. But he really felt the most distressed right here. He just had a number of stressful issues. So we decided, all right, let's put it right here just above the umbilicus, and let's see how you do with that. He was delighted. So the other great placement, and I personally like this one the most, it works the best for me, but again, that's just me, is this upper back spot. And this is the result of the imaging and how it creates a very quick reaction. This guy, I put the patch on him, I took a baseline image and I put the patch on him. He started reacting so quick, I almost couldn't get a baseline. So here he was, 52 years old with 9-year-old back pain, and it was all right between his shoulder blades. And as soon as that patch went to work on him, he started immediately feeling the change and the pain difference. So this is the same guy in a sequence, again, of 5 minutes. So it is quite profound. The notch in the neck, we have seen very valuable for throat and upper respiratory problems as well. Maybe you've got a sore throat. It's very effective on that location. The mid-chest, again, I described the value of that patch placement. Below the umbilicus, above, below, and C7 are my 3 favorites because of the power and the change that occurred in most of the subjects that we looked at. And there was a number of people, they had so much pain in one location that we decided, let's just put the patch right on the pain. So this was a diaphragm, upper gut pain that they just didn't feel well here. And when the image showed up, it confirmed exactly what we were hearing through his history. So I put the patch right in the middle of that upper right diaphragm. And as you see, the sequence of changes from start to finish, within probably 2 hours, he called me back and he says, I can stand taller, I breathe freer, I feel so much better. It's like a weight's been lifted off my shoulders. I also had a number of cases that they just had low back pain. And so once again, just to kind of test the waters, let's put the patch right on the pain. So I put this patch exactly where they pointed. I hurt right here. So, and this was about a 15-minute time frame. And again, the pain relief that this guy had and the difference in his health, his energies, it's rewarding every day to see these go to work on people. I can't help but talk about athletes and the effect on their health with this particular product. Because as you know, every athlete worldwide wants a competitive advantage. And if we can do that with the right products that are safe and effective and legitimate, then we've won the world battle. And I so look forward to trying this patch on any and all of the Olympic athletes that I have the privilege of working with. So it will require a little bit of lead time to get with them and their coaches to show them. And I'm saying this because all of you are going to face this with your athletes. The day of competition, nobody wants to change anything. So at the Olympic level, even the national championship level, nobody wants to change anything a week before that competition. So if you can get to them and start, here's the product, try it. Don't change anything on game day, absolutely not. But now you're used to this energy. You're used to the change, and now it's not a surprise. But what you do for them emotionally is now take their worry and stress about this ache, this soreness, this pain, this problem, and now the focus is the competition only. And that is probably the most powerful thing all of you healers in this crowd can do for those athletes that are going to compete. And it's interesting, I had a coach tell me when I was with the previous teams, that is what he really, really appreciated about the combination of things, the treatment and so forth, but to give that athlete that mental focus in the right way, the most profound. So, I had several athletes in the study. The patch helped them run faster, longer, and with more endurance and energy. And this was an athlete who had previously used IceWave. The shoulder pain in the next gentleman went away after years of soreness and pain with movement. There is tremendous value to rebalance the body from the stress of training. We don't think of it, but actually training for an athletic event is stress. And what we condition the body to is that specific stress. So Eon addresses the specifically inflammatory pain, which is a large part of muscular injuries. I'm going to say it again in a little different way. Intensive training for athletes is a form of stress. It is the ability to perform each sport-specific stress that determines achievement. And for most athletes who train at a very high level, and this is from even now, almost grade school on up, but especially high school and beyond, it's not a question if there will be an injury, it's a question of when and how severe. So now we have another protective, preventative patch to help with this process. So again, Eon rebalances the body for less potential injury and problems. So here's an example of an athlete who had a back pain. And yet, when you image the back, there wasn't much abnormality. But when I image the front, here is clearly this real deep heat response right here. Soccer player, and he had back pain. So we put the patch right in the middle of all that pain. Here's where it was. It didn't show up as clearly on this slide, but that's where it is, and that was about a 10-minute period. He called me within a week and said, I feel like I can breathe again, my lungs work better, and it's no wonder. He had all this distress locked up in his gut that was causing this restriction, this heaviness, this tightness. And if I was to really look at most athletes, and actually most people in society, we are all walking around with one issue or another that is tied up in distress. So this is a profound problem, and one that now we have products to manage. So our future is well put by Margaret Mead. And she said this: never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed people can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Thank you. So as Suzanne brought you a call to arms, I'm saying the same thing. But before I end, I wanted to tell you about the guy who went to the veterinarian. And Dr. Durock, we've had some great studies together, and we hope there's going to be more. But he went into the veterinarian's office, and he was kind of bantering with the receptionist. And the receptionist said, it kind of went on for a little while. And so one of the other staff members finally came up to him and said, are you aware of what we do in this office with too much male aggressiveness? So anyway, took you a little while. So to end, in summary, we have a new product that rebalances the nervous system, which improves immunity. And we can all age in better health. And after all, isn't that what it's all about? Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Dean Clark. And in the coming months, we are really looking forward to some of the new studies that Dr. Dean is going to be working on. We were mentioning that just recently, within the past few weeks, we moved to a larger facility within San Diego. So we used to be in a 7,000 square foot office in La Jolla, beautiful place right on the beach, and we gave that up to move to another location, and now we have a 15,000 square foot office that's in San Diego, and we have a LifeWave clinic there. And one of the things that Dr. Dean is going to be working on is a long-term study where we're now going to be tracking, well, what happens with some of these anti-aging effects over a very long period of time. We've seen these remarkable effects immediately, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and now we want to start to track this over a longer period of time and find out what happens with the DNA and with cell hydration and energy production and all that. So that'll be a great project, and probably by next year we're going to be reporting on that.